Okay. Good evening. This Committee of Adjustment meeting of November the 24th, 2020 will come to order. Members of the public, staff, presenters, and members of the committee, please be advised that meetings are broadcast and recorded and made available on the internet. I'd like to advise that we will be dealing with consent applications tonight, which means we'll hear about each one and we'll make one motion to deal with them at the end of the applications list. I'd like to now turn this over to our planner to announce the purpose of the meeting.
Thank you. The Committee of Adjustment is holding a public hearing in accordance with Section 45 of the Planning Act in order to consider applications for relief from the Township's comprehensive zoning bylaw, which is zoning bylaw 2009-021. The prescribed notices of the public meetings were provided by prepaid first-class mail to all residents within a 60-meter radius of the subject properties. Ministries and agencies were circulated via email, and the subject properties were posted with the sign that advertised the public hearings. The notices were also available on the Township's website. The notice circulation complies with the requirements of the Planning Act. In order to be notified of a decision of the Township of Selwyn on the minor variance application, a written request must be made to the Township. So the first application tonight is file number A-43-20. The owner of the property is Andrea Gibson, and the address is 1652 Poplar Point Road in the Smith Ward. The application is seeking relief to increase the lot coverage of accessory structures from 5% to 9.4%, to decrease the front yard setback of a detached garage from 7.5 meters to 5 meters, and to decrease minimum setback from the high water mark from 30 meters to 18.9 to an addition to an existing dwelling, and then from 30 meters to 26 meters to allow for a porch addition, and 30 meters to 14.9 meters to allow for a structurally non-permanent deck. The applicant is doing a number of improvements on the lot and requires these variances. So they're looking to replace a detached garage with a slightly larger detached garage. They're also looking to replace and expand the existing deck that is on the water side of the property or of the house, and looking to construct an attached garage that would be situated 18.9 meters from the high water mark, and also a covered porch on the road side of the dwelling. I have reviewed the application under the 4 tests of the Planning Act. I believe the general intent and purpose of the Township's official plan and zoning bylaw has been maintained. I believe the variance is desirable for the appropriate development or use of land, building, or structure, and that it is minor in nature. And I have recommended that the committee grant the variances. We have received correspondence from several agencies, from the Ministry of Transportation and Peterborough Public Health, who have no objections or concerns. We received correspondence from Curd Lake First Nations, who have requested that an archaeological assessment be completed. It has been included as a condition to the minor variance, as well as we received correspondence from the Conservation Authority, who have identified that the property is within 120 meters of a key hydrologic feature, which is Shamong Lake, and has requested that a planting plan be completed. And that was also a condition that was recommended.
Thank you. Before I turn this over, I would like to ask the committee if there's any declaration of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof with any of these applications. Seeing none, is the applicant for this application in the audience?
Yes, and on Zoom.
Okay. Mr. McCullough, do you have anything you wish to add? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone to speak against it? Deputy Clerk, is there anyone that is registered to speak against?
We have no one else registered to speak against. We do have Andrea Gibson on. I'm not sure if she has anything she wants to add.
Ms. Gibson?
No, I'm good. My dad has there and said it all. We're good.
Thank you very much. All right, I'll bring it to committee. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next application. Jeanette, number 4420, please.
Thank you. The owner of the property is William Mandino and the agent is Frank Olver. The address is 2929 Ayetts Point Lane in the Smith Ward. This application is seeking relief from the township's bylaw in order to increase the maximum coverage of accessory structures from 5% to 10.3%. The applicant is asking to construct or is proposing to construct a garage that will be located between the road and the house, so on the roadside of the property. The increase in lot coverage is well, the existing lot coverage is 5.5%, which is entirely attributed to a deck that's located on the house. Therefore, it is, I believe that the construction of the garage won't significantly contribute to the built form. So I have completed a review of the application under the 4 tests of the Planning Act. Then I do believe that the general intent and purpose of the township's official plan and zoning bylaw have been maintained. The variance is desirable for the appropriate development or use of land, building, or structure, and the proposed variance is minor in nature, and I have recommended the committee grant the variance. We have received correspondence from the Ministry of Transportation and Peterborough Public Health. We have no objections to the application, as well as we've received a letter from the Conservation Authority that's identified that the property is within 120 meters of a key hydrologic feature and has requested that a planting plan be completed, and that I did add that condition onto the actual decision. So it's not listed as one of the conditions in the report, but it would just identify that a planting plan is required, and that the applicant could seek help from the Conservation Authority to prepare that.
Okay, thank you very much. Is the applicant in the audience, Mr. Oliver? And is there anything you wish to add to what Jeanette has said? Gotcha. Can you proceed to the mic, please?
No, just to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. And is there anyone in opposition, Deputy Clerk?
We do have someone who's called in that hasn't identified their number, ending in number 0052. Are you here for this application?
I did send an email. Okay, so I understand. Are you Judy Thompson? Yes. And you have some questions? I do. All right, if we can just ask you to move away from the mic 2 meters, and if you can take the mic, please. Identify yourself and your address, please.
My name is Judy Tompkins, and I am next door to Mr. Mandino at 2931 Ayetts Point Lane. I did send an email. First of all, Ann and Bill Mandino are good neighbors, and I want them to have their garage. However, I was first told that the garage would be 20 feet by 20 feet, which was okay. But now I thought the requirement was 5 feet from one line and 18 feet from the other line. I have a question about that. Even so, this totals 18 feet plus a 24-foot garage for a total of 42 feet. Their property is 40 feet at the back, and even though it gradually widens out towards the lake, I don't believe it widens out to 42 feet at the point of the garage. I also wanted to know if the measurement of 13 feet can be taken over the joint easement. There is also a shed to the side of the proposed garage, which is not considered to the east of the garage, which is not on the drawing provided, and therefore has not been included in the square footage of their property. those are my concerns.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to ask Jeanette if she has some answers for some of those questions Ms. Thompson's posed.
Yes. Okay. So, sorry, my stuff is in metric. We have a 18.8 meter frontage on the water, so it does widen out a fair amount. But okay, just in relation to setbacks. So the proposed garage is proposed to be 4 feet from one side, 13 feet from the other. The required setbacks are 1.2 meters for a garage, so on both sides. And so it does meet with that. 1.2 meters is about 4 feet. And there was a question in relation to a shed. So if the shed has not been included in the square footage, which I'd have to go back to the application to see if it was included, then yes, it would have to be removed in order for them to construct this structure, because it would not have it. They would be over the amount that they're asking for coverage for accessory structures. Was there another question there? Sorry.
Oh, I did. I asked if the measurement of 13 feet, which you're saying is the approved setback?
So the required setback is 1.2 meters. So if there is an easement over that property, which I do see that there is it's not been identified as an easement. I do see on the survey that there is an area that a driveway is on. But it hasn't been identified as an easement. But if it is an easement, they would not be able to construct on the easement, and they're not proposing to.
But the easement can be considered in the 13 feet
Yes.
measurement?
Yes.
I think that's all.
Okay. And is there anything that you wish to add, Mr. Oliver, or is the question's been answered?
So he is moving the shed. It is,
Yeah.
it is being gone or taken away or so.
Okay, that's good to know.
Removing it.
Yeah.
Somebody
All right. Thank you very much. All right, is there anyone else to speak against this application? Seeing none, we'll bring it to committee. Are there any questions? Mr. Mitchell.
I just want to confirm that the septic system that's shown on the site plan, that's the existing septic. There's not a new septic going in, correct?
Correct. No septic.
Okay. And if I understood you correctly, the setback on either side to conform to the zoning would be 1.4 meters.
1.2.
1.2.
Yeah,
So you
about
can
4
come
feet.
within 1.2 of the property line on either side and you would conform.
Yeah, yes, you would.
Okay, thank you.
All right, are there any other questions? Anita.
With the previous application, you had mentioned that Curve Lake had wanted to be were requesting an archaeological assessment. Did Curve Lake get back to you on this application?
We didn't receive comments for this one, no.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? We will now move on to 4520, please.
Yeah, so the property owner is Karam Marie Lau, and the property address is 311 Fire Route 30 in the Smith Ward. It is somewhere, it's sometimes identified as 3107 Fire Route 30, so I have identified both within the report and the decision. So the applicant is asking to decrease the minimum side yard setback from 10 meters to 3 meters, and that is in order to construct a boathouse. The boathouse will be slightly upland, but there will be a marine rail to it. So I have completed a review of the application, and I do believe that it meets the general intent and purpose of the township's official plan and the township zoning bylaw. The variance is desirable for the appropriate development or use of land, building, or structure, and the proposed variance is minor in nature, and I have recommended the committee grant the variance. We have received correspondence from Peterborough Public Health and the Ministry of Transportation, who have no issues with the application. The Curve Lake First Nation has provided comments and requested that an archaeological assessment be completed, and that condition has already been included. And ORCA also identified that a permit will be required, and because that is within 120 meters of a key hydrologic feature, they have asked that a condition that would include a planting plan be included. I do know the property owner is doing some work elsewhere on the property along the shoreline, and is actually coordinating that with the Conservation Authority right now, but I still included it as a condition.
All right, thank you very much. Deputy Clerk, I understand that the owner, Karam Lai, is virtually here. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Do you have anything you wish to add, Mr. Lai?
No, ma'am, I thank you for consideration. I just am available for any questions. Jeanette explained it very clearly.
All right, thank you very much. Is there anyone in opposition, Deputy Clerk?
There is no one else here to speak to this application.
All right, thank you very much. I will turn it to the committee. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to 4620, please.
The property owner is Diane White and the agent is Bob Hines from Your Own Design. And the address of the property is 884 Fire Route 4 in the Smith Ward. The application is seeking to decrease minimum front yard setback from 7.5 meters to 6.2 meters, looking to decrease the minimum setback from the high water mark from 30 meters to 14.7 meters to a covered deck and dwelling, as well as to increase the maximum lot coverage of all building and structures from 20% to 24.5%. The applicant is seeking these variances in order to permit the redevelopment of the waterfront lot with a new dwelling, decking, a covered porch, as well as attached garage. Sorry, all the existing structures on the property will be removed and will be redeveloped with what I just spoke to. So I have completed a review under the 4 tests of the Planning Act. I do believe the general intent and purpose of the Township's official plan and zoning bylaw have been maintained. The proposal is desirable for the appropriate development or use of land, building, or structure, and the proposed variance is minor in nature. I have recommended the committee grant the variances. We have received correspondence from MTO and Peterborough Public Health who have no issues or concerns with the application, as well as the Conservation Authority, who again identified that there is a key hydrologic feature, which is the lake within 120 meters, and therefore asked for a planting plan to be completed. As well, Curb Lake First Nation has requested an archaeological assessment be completed. Conditions have been already recommended that would satisfy Orca and Curb Lake.
All right, thank you very much. I understand, Deputy Clerk, that Bob Hines, the agent, is virtually with us.
That is correct.
And is there anything you wish to add to what Jeanette has said, Mr. Hines?
Yes, I do agree. And good evening, everybody.
Okay, thank you very much. And I understand there is also someone who has questions, Lee Branscombe, Deputy Clerk.
Yes, he is also on the line. Just give me one moment. Hi, Lee.
Hello.
There you go.
Yeah, I have no questions. I just wanted to hear the process and how it was going about. And we have no issues with this being developed down the road from us. So we just wanted to be part of the meeting itself.
All right, thank you very much for your participation. Is there anyone else, Deputy Clerk, that had something against this application?
We have no one else to speak to this application.
All right, thank you very much. I'll bring it to committee. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we'll go on to A4720.
Okay, so the property owner is Jordan Hunter, and the address is 1688 Youngs Point Road in the Smith Ward. The application is seeking to increase the maximum height of an accessory structure from 4 meters to 6 meters, and that is in order to construct a garage. That garage would be about 2,400 square feet in area, and the height would be 16 meters or 19.7 feet. The garage is proposed to be situated to the back or to the rear of the property. It is a fairly large property, and the applicant is asking for this height in order so that he can park some of his vehicles in it. He has some larger vehicles and would like to keep them out of the weather. Because the structure is situated to the rear of the property, it is well away from neighboring structures, and there is an existing vegetative buffer between the proposed structure and the nearest neighbor. So I do believe that it does meet with the intent of the 4 tests under the Planning Act. So the general intent and purpose of the Township's official plan and zoning bylaw have been maintained. The variance is desirable for the appropriate development or use of land, building, or structure, and the proposed variance is minor in nature. And I have recommended that the committee grant the variance. The Ministry of Transportation, the Conservation Authority, and Peterborough Public Health have all provided comments with no concerns.
All right, thank you very much. Deputy Clerk, is there anyone that is virtually online to support?
We have no one here to support or in opposition of this application.
Thank you very much. And there's no one in the audience for this application either. All right, I'll turn it to committee. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to A5020, please.
The owners of the property are Glenn and Shelley Maloney. The agent is Colin Darling, who is in the audience, and the address is 694 Lily Lake Road in the Smith Ward. Again, this is an application to increase the maximum height of an accessory structure from 4 meters to 5.5 meters. The property owner is requesting this increase in the maximum height in order to, again, to store a recreational vehicle and a boat, so some larger vehicles. And the proposed structure is situated to be to the rear of the existing structures, and again, well away from neighboring structures. And again, there is some natural vegetated area and kind of a berm that will provide a visual shield between the property owner and the neighbors. So I do believe the general intent and purpose of the township's official plan and zoning bylaw have been maintained. The variance is desirable for the appropriate development or use of land, building, or structure, and the variance is minor in nature. And I have recommended that the committee grant the variance. As well, we have received comments from the Conservation Authority and MTO who have no concerns.
Thank you very much. I understand that Colin Darling, the agent, is here in person. Do you have anything you wish to add, or? Thank you. And I understand that the owner, Glenn Maloney, is here virtually. Deputy Clerk?
That is correct.
Is there anything that he wishes to add?
No, thank you.
Thank you. And is there any opposition that had signed up for this?
We have no one else to speak on this application.
Thank you very much. All right, we will bring it to committee. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we'll go on to A5120, please.
So the property owners are Lane and Kristen Schubert, and the address is 7927 Highway 7 in the Smith Ward. The application is seeking to decrease the rear yard setback from 30 meters to 6 meters. They're asking for this decrease in that setback in order to construct a larger building. It's an agricultural building, a riding arena, and we have taken a look at the property to ensure that there would not be any impact, and there's no neighboring structures nearby. And again, there is a vegetated buffer between the structure and the nearest neighbor. I do believe that the general intent and purpose of the township's official plan has been maintained. As well, the variance is desirable for the appropriate development or use of land, building, or structure, and the variance is minor in nature, and I have recommended that the variance be granted. We have received comments from Peterborough Public Health and the Conservation Authority that have no concerns with the application. We've also received comments from the Ministry of Transportation who have identified that this property is within their land use corridor, and so they have identified that a building and land use permit would be required. I have added it as a condition and provided the letter, the comment letter to the applicant, so he is aware. The letter was pretty outlined exactly what he would need to do to get that land use permit and provides him contact information.
Okay, thank you very much. And I understand that the property owner is here to support, Lane Schubert. Is there anything you wish to add to what Jeanette has provided? Can I ask you to come over to the, and we really should be sanitizing this as people use them. So I'm not quite sure what you should do.
I won't touch anything.
It's not the touching.
Yeah, and I don't know if this can be answered or not. I just got a letter forwarded today from the MTO, and I realize I'll have to get a permit. That's fine. I'm just wondering in regards to it. It says that it controls all land use within 45 meters of the highway right of way, and then within 395 meters of the center point of the intersection of the highway and intersecting road. Is that just referring to the land or the actual structure itself?
Jeanette?
Well, it's the land, but any structures you put on the land, you would require a permit from them to do that. So it is a land that they have not control over, but that they would provide permits for. But if anything that you build on that.
So it's the proximity to the highway for my land, not the structure.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
Okay, thank you very much. And is there anyone else that's here in favor? Is there anyone that has signed up that's opposed, Deputy Clerk?
We have no one else here for this application.
Thank you very much. And I bring it to committee. Are there any questions on this application? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion to approve. Anita and Andy, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. We have no deferred matters, no correspondence. The minutes of the Committee of Adjustment meeting, October 27th. Donna, Jerry, all in favor? That's carried. And we have a motion to adjourn, please. Jerry and Andy, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Next meeting's December the 8th.
Okay, colleagues, I'd like to call this regular council meeting to order and begin by observing a moment of silence so that council staff and members of the public can quietly reflect on our duty to the community that we are trying to serve. Thank you very much. Members of the public, staff, presenters, and members of council, please be advised that meetings are broadcast and recorded and made available on the internet. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest? None noted. We'll move immediately to our minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes, colleagues, that were circulated November 10th, special council meetings of November 16th and November 17th. Any move Sherry, seconded by Donna. Any discussion? Yes, go ahead.
On the minutes for the Monday, November 16th, there's a line that says electronic participation only, but then in the opening paragraph, it says it was at the council chambers. I wonder if that should just be put in there, that it was electronic as opposed to being at the council chambers. So the first special meeting.
Okay, so with that change, all in favor? Carried. Okay, we will now get on to our first deputations, which is going to be online. Sarah Hennessy, the CAO, and Julie Dillon, the chair of the Selwyn Library, are going to go through the strategic plan. Welcome very much. And the floor is yours. We have no audio.
Can you hear me now? Perfect. Okay. And are you able to see the slideshow yet?
Not yet.
Okay. I'll just wait for that to start so that
It's Tanya here. Sarah, are you going to be sharing that slide presentation?
We do have one. I think they're just going to bring it up.
I'm going to load that up for you, Julie. Just give me a sec.
Okay, sure. And do you have my indications for slide changes then?
Yes.
Okay.
There we go. We've got it up.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Thank you. Mayor Mitchell, councillors, and staff of Selwyn Township, good evening. As chair of the Selwyn Public Library Board, I have the privilege of presenting the strategic plan for Selwyn Public Library for 2021 to 2025. Today, I will present the abbreviated form of our new strategic plan, but a more complete version with the specific associated action steps will be available to you through a link in your council package and also at each library branch and the library website. In 2019, the Selwyn Public Library Board began a strategic planning process. This consisted of consultation with the Southern Ontario Library Service, known as SOLS, a collaborative workshop that included staff and board members, along with a community survey distributed in the libraries, online, and at outreach events in the community over the summer of 2019. Using the insights and information gathered, a strategic planning subcommittee that included the CEO and 4 board members developed a strategic plan that is intended to guide the library's activities over the next 5 years. This plan was endorsed by the full Selwyn Public Library Board in September 2020. Some important themes emerged throughout this process. First of all, during the planning and design process, libraries should strive for a people-centered approach. Known as placemaking, this inclusive approach demands that we start with the needs of the people in our community. Secondly, libraries have emerged as community hubs, and as such, we must encourage ways to ensure that we foster community cohesiveness. Third, welcoming spaces, both indoor and outdoor, attract patrons and strengthen social bonds and community health. The need for appealing and useful outdoor spaces has become increasingly relevant during the current pandemic, as we grappled with closures and then reduced operating hours while striving to offer programming and library space that is safe in our community. Fourth, libraries foster civic health through collaboration and the alignment of library goals with its municipality and community partners. Libraries facilitate learning and creation, cultivating opportunities for both personal and community development. Sixthly, libraries should offer inclusive and equitable access to services and resources to ensure that we meet the needs of our entire community. And seventh, libraries should model public stewardship and environmental responsibility to our communities. With these themes in mind, we developed a new mission and vision statement. Our new mission statement is, Selwyn Public Library empowers the community to read, learn, connect, and be inspired. Our new mission statement is concise but powerful. In the past, our library mission statement was more focused on reading and learning, but the role of libraries is now changing. Libraries are becoming more important as community hubs, and programming, both physical and virtual, along with internet and technology access and training, are increasingly in demand. Though access to physical library materials such as books, DVDs, and audiobooks remain vital, there are wider demands within the community that we can and do meet, and we strive to remain responsive to the people within our community. Our vision: Selwyn Public Library is a welcoming and inclusive place, fostering a love of reading and lifelong learning through access to resources and programs while building social connections and community identity. Our vision statement reflects the desire that we have to strive for a more welcoming and inclusive public space, both virtually and physically, and to use our role as a community hub to build connection within the Selwyn community. While developing our action plan over the next several years, we not only used our mission and vision statements to guide us, but we also wanted to ensure that certain values were honored. Our people, especially, including patrons, volunteers, and staff, service excellence, inclusive and equitable access, public stewardship that included fiscal, ethical, and environmental responsibility, intellectual freedom of thought, belief, and expression, community well-being and social connections, and innovation and a focus on the future. We then focused our plan on 4 specific strategic directions. First of all, to develop and strengthen the library's human resources, what we will call service delivery. Second, to expand access to programs, services, and collections, services. The third pillar is to provide versatile, welcoming, and safe spaces, our facilities. And fourthly, to engage the community in developing and promoting resources and partnership opportunities, or community. Before moving on to the objectives within our strategic plan, I must make a comment about the impact of COVID-19 on our planning process. Planning during the COVID-19 pandemic has required that we not only respond to our more immediate community needs, but that we also ensure that we can not only weather the storm of COVID, but do so while maintaining the integrity of our long-term vision for the library. During the era of COVID restrictions, there will be a need to ensure that our e-resources and virtual programming continue to be optimized, and that we ensure the health and safety of our staff, volunteers, and patrons for in-person service delivery. I would like to take a moment now to congratulate library CEO and staff for how seamlessly and professionally they've moved to a new model for service delivery during the pandemic and have ensured that the safety of our community has remained a top priority. However, the pandemic and our current restrictions will not last forever, and we know that patrons and volunteers are craving a return to unfettered library access, in-person programming, and the social connectedness that the library offers. We have therefore maintained our longer-term vision and plan to be ready to implement our full strategic plan as restrictions ease. Public feedback helped guide the strategic planning process, and we have included a sampling of that feedback throughout the presentation. As you can see, we've had very positive feedback about our volunteer force and our staff. Strategic direction number 1, a focus on service delivery through staff, volunteers, and our board. We have developed the following objectives. They're listed here. We wanted to ensure that staffing structure and training support our future and current system needs. We want to work on volunteer support, board competency, and advocacy through effective communication within the community. First of all, I'd like to highlight that our dedicated volunteers are one of the most important assets we have. During the current crisis, excuse me, we have taken a more cautious approach to returning volunteers to the library in order to ensure their safety. With safety measures in place, some volunteers are now back in the library again. Looking forward in our strategic plan, we intend to focus our attention on developing and implementing a centralized and comprehensive volunteer recruitment and retention model that addresses both the current and future impacts of COVID-19 and ensures that we continue to recognize the crucial role of volunteers in our library system. We also need to ensure that staffing structure is in alignment with the needs of our volunteer model and our library system, and that we provide adequate staff training to support the evolving service needs. We'll also focus our attention on ensuring that our library board is informed and engaged to sustain good governance. Though circulation of books remains a cornerstone of library services, we also found that the public continue to value and request more access and diversity of programming. Strategic direction number 2, expansion of access to programs, services, and collections. Our objectives include responding to the evolving technology needs of our community, providing accessible, innovative, and essential programming, ensuring that our collections support the diverse needs and interests of our community, and expanding and exploring new ways to measure both the impact and the usage of the library system. Since the COVID-19 shutdown, every effort has been made to ensure that our programs and services remain accessible to our patrons, which has meant shifting our focus to virtual and online services. Although our programs are currently offered virtually, we know the public is anxious to get back to in-person programs when safety allows. Measuring the impact and usage of the library is therefore vital to understanding the role that the library plays in the community. We plan to broaden and explore new measurements, both qualitative and quantitative, ensuring that our planning remains tailored to our community needs. Our public input demonstrates that the physical and virtual spaces of the library are important community meeting places and that we need to strive to make these spaces accessible and welcoming. That leads us to strategic direction number 3, which is to provide versatile, welcoming, and safe spaces. With this, our objective is to increase the availability and appeal of both indoor and outdoor spaces, provide welcoming, safe, and accessible physical and virtual environments, and we continue to actively collaborate with the municipality in the design and expansion of the Lakefield branch, and support and implement environmentally sustainable practices. Welcoming, versatile, and safe spaces, both virtual and physical, foster inclusive and equitable access to the library. They also promote community well-being and social connectedness, principles that are valued in our libraries. Increasing the appeal and utilization of our outdoor spaces will be a priority in the near future. We will make some minor improvements to indoor spaces, but our Lakefield Library renovation will be on hold for now. Though our recent grant application for the Lakefield Library was not successful, we do plan to continue to explore funding opportunities in collaboration with the municipality for this worthwhile community project. Public input also illustrated that the library should continue to build on our strong local connections within the business and nonprofit community to cultivate partnerships and to ensure that our services are promoted within our own community. This leads to strategic direction number 4, which is to engage the community in developing and promoting resources and partnership opportunities. Our objectives, again, are listed. We want to revitalize marketing and communication strategy to promote the library, identify and engage in new partnership and fundraising opportunities. It is time for us to respond to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's calls to action, and we want to enrich and expand the reach of the library into the community. Advocacy and fundraising for the library has never been more important than now. With the shutdown of our New to You fundraising stores during the COVID lockdown and our inability to hold book sales and other fundraising events, it's crucial that we engage the community and become creative about opportunities for fundraising. We plan to work in the immediate future on a fundraising strategy that we hope will not only raise funds for enhanced services at the library, but also promote Selwyn Public Library and its important role. It is also essential that we move ahead with our response to the Truth and Reconciliation call to action and develop resources, collections, and programming in collaboration with local Indigenous communities. It is vital that our library continue to engage in the community and develop partnerships to share and promote resources, expertise, and coordinate services. On a final note, I thought it might be useful to highlight the close alignment of the strategic goals of Selwyn Township and those of the Selwyn Public Library. We can see commonalities such as the cultivation of an engaged and connected community, the development of partnerships, and the striving for excellence in governance and service delivery. I encourage you to read the full version of the strategic plan with the proposed actions for each of our objectives. This provides a systematic plan for the implementation of our goals. And now I would I would like to take the opportunity to thank the Selwyn Township community members, volunteers, and the staff for their valuable insights and input to the plan. I would also like to thank our CEO, Sarah Hennessy, for her work and organization on this project, Heidi Eshikati for her design input, as well as the Strategic Planning Subcommittee for their time and diligence. Finally, I would like to thank council members and the township staff for their attention and support, and would like to open up the presentation for questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julie. I'll turn it over for questions. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, through you. Julie, I would like to congratulate you, the volunteers, and the staff. I think you've done a really great job during the pandemic, both with the curbside pickup and now that you're open in a safe manner. You've really been a lifeline for a lot of people who haven't had the ability to go out and socialize. And so they are keeping their sanity through reading of books. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Donna?
Yes, through you to Julie. We had our meeting earlier this afternoon and you indicated that you were a bit nervous about this. You did an excellent job as usual. And thank you so much for communicating our plans.
Oh, thank you, Donna.
Thank you, Donna. Anita?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to congratulate you on an excellent strategic plan. It's clear and concise. I really like that tagline, the read, learn, connect, and be inspired is direct and to the point. And I know as far as Lakefield Library is concerned, as Sherry pointed out, it's been a real godsend and a lifeline. I don't know there's a resident in a home, a long-term care home, and the daughter would call into the library for more of the virtual books or the e-books or whatever, and she didn't even have to give her name, but the staff there said, "Oh, hello, how are you?" Whatever this woman's name was, and anyway, so really getting to know the community and being very personable. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And it was a little intentional, the read, learn, connect, be inspired. We're hoping that feeds into our new marketing strategies. So I'm glad you liked it. Thank you.
Thank you. Jerry?
Thank you, through you to Julie. Normally I go on and on about how the volunteers, but I'm going to take a different tack tonight. I'd love in your presentation, the public input. You put the good, but then you also put the constructive criticisms in there as well. You know, where they want barrier free. Internet connectivity can be spotty. Little things like that I hope you guys can learn from and make a little bit better for everybody. Congratulations once again, though. As always, outstanding there.
Thank you. I think that we were very, very lucky that we were able to get community input before the shutdown. So that timing worked out pretty well for us. And I think that it really was the driving force behind our strategic directions, the way things worked, because I think one of the main things that came out of our workshop discussions and in review of the questionnaires or the survey, I should say, was that we knew the people who loved the library, but we wanted to know from the people who didn't necessarily use the library much, and why that was. And so one of the driving forces behind the strategic plan is to understand what it is that's keeping people from the library, from using the library effectively. So hopefully we'll be able to address that in the next 4 to 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues, and thank you, Julie. Just a couple of comments of my own. First of all, to express, as others have, the appreciation to the board and to staff for maintaining our library service during the pandemic. We had to go through various phases on how to do that. People have been very responsive and adaptable, and so I just want to recognize that. That was important. Also, you spoke to this a little bit. We were fortunate enough to have the public input portion before March the 13th, but much of the plan was done during the period of pandemic, and to do a strategic plan under those circumstances, a lot of credit goes to the committee that undertook that and all of the work in staff in supporting that. I also want to recognize our volunteers. It's been challenging. Many of them have not been able to do what for them is a passion, which is to support their community by supporting the library. And the pandemic, unfortunately, has precluded many of them from doing that. I know we have a few folks that are back, but for the most part, they're not. And this finally, in the discussions that I had the opportunity to be in when the plan was being developed, I was struck by the terminology or the concept of the library as the new version of the town square, where it's an opportunity for the public in our community to gather and to basically exchange information, and basically a center of the community. It really, if you think about it, it's a place where there's an intersection of the old, the way we've always done things with the books on the shelves, but also of the new, as we now do a large circulation online, and much of our programming, which at one time and hopefully will be again, would be in person. I've got to recognize the staff for the innovative way that they've done community programming online, and so that's been great to see. It's a valuable asset to our community, and we have 3 branches of it, which is unique for a community our size, but something that makes us particularly special. So I just want to take the opportunity to recognize the staff, the board, and the volunteers, and that we look forward to coming back together again when it's safe, and to celebrate everybody's contribution. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, all those in favor? That was Anita and Sherry moved and seconded and carried. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
We will now hope the technology works so that our second presenter comes up. And there she is, Julie. And just before I hand it over to Julie to make her presentation, Julie Davis to make her presentation.
Council, not sure if you can hear me. It's Tanya here. We've lost sound. We're just working with the live stream for a minute. Just hold tight. Okay, council, we should be good to go.
Okay, Julie, can you hear me?
I can.
Did you hear my initial introduction? If you didn't, I just wanted to mention before we started that we're all cognizant of the fact that that Trent community lost one of its members this week, and that this is a very sad time. I wanted to express on behalf of council our condolences for this tragic loss of Mr. LeBlanc, and to tell you that that we're part of the broader community, and that we extend our condolences to you. So, with that, I'll turn the presentation over to you.
Great, thank you very much. We're delighted to be here today, and thank you for allowing us a little bit of time on your agenda. I've been to council, I think, almost every year for the last few years, so the delivery of this plan should not be a surprise. But we are very grateful for the chance to talk about the important work that we're doing for the benefit of our broader community in Selwyn Township. So I'm Julie Davis. I'm the Vice President of External Relations and Advancement, and I'm joined for the presentation by Deborah Cooper-Berger, who is a resident of Selwyn Township and Vice Chair of our Board of Directors. And I'm going to ask Deborah just to kick off the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. And Julie, I'll look to you to advance the slides for me, please. But I would like to echo Julie's thank you to you as a council, to Mayor Mitchell, Deputy Mayor Senes, and council members for having us on your agenda this evening. We're quite excited to be able to share the highlights of our updated Trent Lands and Nature Area Plan. And I think, as Julie said, she's kind of kept you apprised over the years of some of our activities in this, I guess, exciting project. As you know, Trent University is really enriched with amazing lands. We're only one of a few universities that have such property in Canada. And with these assets also come responsibilities of stewardship, management, and the prudent use of our resources. I can tell you that the Board of Governors of Trent University takes that responsibility very seriously. And as you will see as we review the plans, we have diligently approached our duty. We've done it with guidance from experts. We've looked at the environmental science and best practices from a wide range of areas, and internationally focused as well. But it's our proximity to Selwyn Township that I think is key, and the vitality of both the township and the university are interlinked. I personally have lived in Selwyn Township for over 20 years. The president of our university also lives in Selwyn, as do many faculty and staff. Members of Trent are also residents. As these next slides show, you can see that we're very proud of some of the successes we've had. We've had growth in our students over the last 5 years, significant growth. You can see that we have been the undergraduate university in our category for the last 10 years. And of course, we do contribute to the economic impact of our region by approximately $500 million annually. So again, I speak to the fact that we are interlinked, but it's not only from the financial standpoint, but also because we try to work very closely hand in hand to address community needs. And you'll see some of the things that we've done in terms of being a successful employer, but also the studies that we've engaged with both the city and the county, and some of the studies that we're looking at to address those community needs on an ongoing basis. I guess it won't surprise any of you that Trent University and all the universities and colleges have been hit by the pandemic very hard. In addition to tuition freeze, on the fees for our students, they've been frozen. And also budgets have been further compressed year over year because we've had no increase in our per capita student government funding since 2008. So in combination with the COVID impact, we know that recovery will be several years out. But as a Board of Governors, we look to opportunities for revenue generation for the university. But I can tell you, it won't be at the expense of squandering or divesting our natural resources. As we focus on the Trent Lands and Nature Plan, you will see that we've taken a very systematic, phased-in approach, and we've looked at sustainable development goals. We've sought a better understanding of the history and the flora and the fauna of our lands. We've sought guidance and learning by listening to our Indigenous stakeholders. And we are also committed to an open and transparent process that respects consultation and engagement. And just to share with you, we were originally looking at moving forward before the end of this year, but we have purposely extended our consultation period into January of 2021, just for that fact, to allow for more opportunity for consultation and engagement. So here we are. You can see the elements of the 3 steps in the phases, but now we're at the point we're at the plan review phase. So we're pleased to be able to make that review with you today. And Julie Davis, who's been pretty much living and breathing this project for many years, she's going to walk you through the other elements of the plan. But personally, I would like to thank you very much for your acknowledgement of our loss as a campus, as a community. Yeah, we're very, very saddened by what's transpired. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. I wanted to highlight just a little, some of the areas of the plan. If you've had a chance to look at the plan, we did produce a summary report. There's extensive background information, and we're producing summary sheets as we go along, as we get questions. So there's quite a bit of material. So I'm just highlighting some key pieces this evening. As Deborah said, incorporating Indigenous voices was key, and specifically the incorporation of Indigenous traditional knowledge alongside the field studies that we did is innovative. It is at the leading edge. It's not common, and it's difficult to grasp and put them together. And so we've worked hard with the elders and the communities to incorporate Indigenous traditional knowledge. And there's a number of things throughout the plan that speak to that insight and that learning. At a high level, the purpose of the plan is as a conceptual management plan. So it is looking decades out, trying to anticipate the campus needs, the community needs, and the external constraints and challenges so that we can make wise decisions now. A very simple example is, let's not put a building where in 20 years' time we need to put a road. So it's trying to map all of those pieces out and make some good long-term decisions that we can anchor our work in. And so it is underpinned by the teaching, research, and learning mission of the university as our priority, but with a very strong focus to advance environmental education and ensure a healthy ecosystem, providing guidance around development and looking for ways, as Deborah said, that we can create long-term sustainable revenue sources for the benefit of Trent and the community. So the vision that we have put forward acknowledges that our lands are a precious asset with natural and cultural heritage, and they are vital to ours and the community's resilience. And our vision is an inspiring, sustainable, and complete community to live, learn, innovate, and be active. And we've specifically called out that in our care for and use of the land, we will demonstrate leadership in environmental and Indigenous areas. And those are 2 areas for which we're known around the world. And so very important that what we teach is also what we practice. We have 4 guiding principles. And again, as we go through the evolution over the decades, these anchor the decision making. So number 1, that we do prioritize teaching and research and learning as the core of our decision making. That environmental resilience and integrity is key. And economic resilience, leadership and innovation, and social resilience, community and inclusivity. And you'll see that the initiatives address oftentimes all 4 of those. One of the pieces that appropriately a lot of interest is our environmental platform and how we intend to steward the land. and respecting concerns about fragmentation of habitat, the need to ensure connectivity for wildlife. What we have proposed is a university green network. This demonstrates our very significant commitment as an institution to maintaining 60% of our lands as nature areas and green spaces. And you can see visually how it's laid out is as a connected system. We also have introduced some very specific targets, and we expect to build on these to respond to internationally the call to increase biodiversity, which is related to the quality and diversity of habitat across the campus, ensuring that nature is accessible, that's learning and recreation and mental health and well-being, and that there's many opportunities for the campus and the community to learn from nature. And the dog use management, it seems like a very specific thing, but sure, we had a lot of people advocating both from a nature standpoint and from an enjoyment of the trails. So we've tried our best to address that as well. After we laid out the University Green Network, which was informed by primary and secondary research, that identified for us the lands that are suitable for development. And we did field studies on those lands, and we did make changes to those parcels based on what we found. And these are areas where we can both meet the campus and community needs, but also create that long-term revenue stream. So there are many universities across the country and indeed around the world, but in Canada, that have entered into long-term land leases for different kinds of uses on their campus. And that's the revenue stream that allows us to weather many challenges like what we're going through right now, but also ideally to stay the small campus that we want to be. It is not our intent to grow to a larger campus, but many campuses grow large simply because that's the only way to achieve that increased revenue to offset growing costs. So what we've identified here is the campus core, the peninsula lands, which we would see as housing focus, residential housing, but with a very significant focus on sustainable development and being a model for how communities can be built in a sustainable way. University Integrated Seniors Village. You have here the Clean Tech Commons. And these East Bank lands are just decades away. Future boards will make decisions about those, but again, those lands remain available to meet the campus and community needs well into the future. And it's very much an obligation of the board to be looking to the future and ensuring that we can manage those lands for the future needs. We're particularly focused on how we can support employment. So Clean Tech Commons being the most immediate opportunity for us to create employment among many other values. Housing for students, we were very close to issuing RFP for the financing for new housing on campus just before COVID. So we continue to test the market and see when it's appropriate to move forward with that. The Seniors Village would ideally be a mix of housing as a mixed community. And as I said, the Sustainable Village is also a very key opportunity with the housing challenges in this community. To the degree that we can provide more housing for our students, that creates more affordable housing opportunities in the broader region. As Deborah noted, we have very much taken account of a sustainable design focus and the ways that we can provide that leadership in all of our actions, whether it's caring for the land or in the kinds of developments that the board decides are suitable, and incorporated Indigenous traditional knowledge as well, with a goal that we're responsible to future generations and that we're always looking in our work to enhance the environment, and the concept of a net benefit. An important piece for people to understand is, again, the framework plan being a high-level concept plan. When it comes to decisions about what is developed where and how, that is a separate process, and that will be based on site-specific analysis. So we've done high-level field studies, but when we come to the point of actually introducing a project, there will be specific environmental impact studies, traffic studies, all of the things that the city requires. Of course, as an adjacent municipality, if it's land that's adjacent to Selwyn Township, we'll be seeking input from you as well and addressing any concerns that you might have. And again, this will be a point to engage Mississauga community update the Indigenous traditional knowledge, and again, look for opportunities to meet as many community needs as we can while we're meeting the campus needs. The nature areas are, somebody described the other day, they're Trent's Central Park. So we have, with our large land holdings, 40% of the natural spaces in Peterborough, and the nature areas are very much loved and enjoyed, as well as contain some very important species as well. So in addition to providing an updated development plan, we've brought into our land plan the nature area stewardship plan. So demonstrating that we understand that ecosystem and that we're investing in those natural areas as we look forward to some of the development opportunities. And we've identified at the end of the Trent Lands Plan a number of goals for the nature areas, which include preserving that natural environment, but creating those opportunities for the campus and the community to interact with nature. There are many more studies coming out. Even last night I heard about the mental health benefits of interacting with nature. And so we really want to be a place where people can come and get that respite. So we are at the review stage. As I said, there's a summary document if that's all you have the time for. I know councillors have a lot to read. And so we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to ask any questions, and certainly I'd be delighted if there's any follow-up areas for questions or concerns to speak to you about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask for council the questions. Sherry.
Thank you, through you. Thank you very much for your presentation, and I too add my condolences for the tragic outcome of this past couple of days. As you mentioned, the university population has grown considerably, and you're to be commended for that. I'm curious as to when you're going to be creating a seniors village. I see that's going to be abutting our township. What the time line would be for that, because we really are, as a township and your neighbor, being negatively impacted because what should be family-oriented housing in Woodland Acres is instead being used for student housing. And it's bringing with it problems for the families that are living there. So I'm happy to hear that you are going to be providing more housing, and I'm wondering what the timeline is for the student housing vis-a-vis the seniors village. I'm hoping that the student housing is going to take priority, and if you could give us an idea of what kind of numbers of housing you're expecting to have for students, and what the timelines would be, if you can give me that.
Yes, thank you, and I do appreciate it. I am aware of those concerns about the Woodland Acres properties. As I said, we were ready to issue an RFP for financing for the student housing on the campus. We're looking at 700 beds, so fairly significant. We're looking at adding to an existing college, building a new college on the Simons campus, and as well adding housing to our campus on Trail. So those plans had been approved by the board, and we've just been held up now. It's just not a favorable climate for attracting the investment that we need for that. So it remains the highest priority from a development standpoint to get that student housing going. From the University Seniors Village, the stage we're at is we've begun the detailed field studies of the site, and we've done some very preliminary visioning, but we'll move into more community visioning around what's needed there throughout the next year. We would move right away on the student housing if we could, but the market and COVID is dictating the pace of that one right now.
Thank you.
Donna.
Yes, through you. Thank you so much, Julie. And sorry, I can't remember the other lady's name. We appreciate this comprehensive review. I have another question on the seniors housing. I was wondering, would that have to be a type of facility that would be in partnership with the province, where you would be issued a certain, or be issued the beds from the province? And would you be using this as a teaching facility?
Yes, thank you. So I'll answer that backwards. Yes, the primary focus of all of the work is to enable a teaching and research opportunity. So we see first and foremost the Trent Center for Aging and Society, which is an internationally renowned center that looks at many aspects of aging, but particularly best practices or promising practices in long-term care. But we do look at this as a mixed community, and so we would see ideally a campus of care that would have just regular residential as well as assisted living, potentially up to long-term care. So some aspects of that would require government approval and funding, but much of it would not. And so that's part of what we'll understand over the next year, is both what is the demand and what is the funding opportunities.
Thank you. Our library has partnered with your Trent studies or senior studies, so we've appreciated that collaboration as well.
Thank you, Donna. Just before I let you go, just a couple of comments of my own. First of all, I think it's in order to congratulate the university for undertaking such a comprehensive and deep dive into understanding the importance of the land that you are the stewards of, and the extensive consultation, including with our First Nations people, that you undertook. I had the opportunity, I think, to attend either 3 or 4 sessions because you reached out to the community to ask for input, and there was actually pretty good turnout for those things, for given what you would normally expect. So congratulations on that as well. You know, in many ways, the University Trent is a product of our community. It came to be from both the donations of land, but also, and you know, Julie, you and I have both heard these stories of back in the 60s, early 60s, payroll deductions for GE employees so that they could make contributions so that Trent could come into being, because there was a determination that our community had grown to a point where it needed and deserved to have a world-class post-secondary institution. And so Trent has always been part of what we are as a community. And one of the ways that has manifested itself over the years is the robust interaction that has always occurred between the university and the community. And part of that is about the use of the wonderful nature and the lands that you control, whether it be through the trail system or otherwise. And I was hoping you could just take a moment to assure everybody that that robust intersection between the university and the community will continue, and that the use of the land and of the facilities of the institution will continue to be available to the community as it has been in the past.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Mitchell. Absolutely. That nature area stewardship plan is a very important part of our plan. And we've identified within it the priority for research and teaching and recreation, as well as the environmental stewardship. So it does call out that community use very specifically.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you for taking the time to provide the presentation. And it was very, very much appreciated. And we look forward to partnering with you on specific initiatives as you move forward.
It would be wonderful. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Thank you. I look for a motion to receive from Jerry and Anita, seconded. All those in favor? Passed. Thank you, colleagues. We will now move on to question period. Is there any registered people to ask questions?
No questions.
No questions? Okay, we'll now move on to municipal staff officers and staff reports. And is the fire chief going to be online? Gord?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Mayor.
There you are, Gord. Okay, go for it.
Evening, members and Mayor Mitchell. So, as you recall, last December we had a report there on the financial challenges that the fire department faces, and as council is well aware that one of our bigger incomes at the time for the last number of years before or prior to the last 2 or 3 were MVA recouping some of the funds from some of those calls. So as you're well aware that insurance companies are changing their protocols and their policies, and it's finding it quite difficult to recoup some of these funds that, you know, just not our residents, but as we are, you know, bigger part of the picture here for Kawartha Lakes, that there's a lot of people that an influx of people that come to this area. So did a little process and went through, and there's a lot of departments in the province that are having the same issues. So again, I got a little information, and you've seen the Ajax report there. So they are in the same process that we are, and they've started a little bit before we did. So again, a lot of departments can recoup from the 400 series highways because they can actually bill straight to the MTO. And again, a lot of them have a lot of issues with that too, but they do get recouped a little bit of that money. So again, a lot of the departments on their other municipal roads are looking to recoup some of those costs. So we have been trying to start that process, and I think it might work, it might not. There's going to be some major issues with it. So if we can start to bill direct and see what happens there, we may be able to recoup some of those. With theirs, we might just have to change what information, and Ajax mentioned that he gets a fair bit of information back, almost the whole report, and I haven't seen it yet, but I'm hoping that we can go to Eris and maybe qualify for a little more information, that we can actually bill the people that, you know, we're maybe charged under the Highway Traffic Act. Whether we can or not, we'll wait and see if that happens. But again, yes, through my recommendation here and through the report, that, you know, our practice in the past wasn't to charge people that, you know, under certain circumstances, compassionate or extenuating circumstances, we may not have charged them, or if they come forward with a reasonable explanation why, why do we have to pay this bill. But for the most part, most accidents are caused under the Highway Traffic Act because somebody did something wrong. So if we can recoup some of that cost this way, it might be an alternative for us. It is going to be, I'm going to say it won't be easy, especially, you know, if it's somebody that's out of our jurisdiction. If there's some way we do have a service that can recoup the costs outside of that, but again, we might be able to bill back to a tax collector or whatever, but we might be able to bill our own residents. So it's not great, but it's an alternative that, you know, we might be able to recoup some of these costs, because again, MVAs are down a little bit this year, but I say that our first snowfall, we had 3 on Sunday. So it goes with the territory there. So I'm hoping that this might be an alternative that'll work for us in the coming future here. So Janice, I don't know if you had anything to add to that I maybe missed, or.
No, I just think if council has any questions.
Donna.
Yes, through you to Gord or Janice, I was just wondering if we've had a legal opinion on our ability to do this.
There wasn't anything so much said from the Ajax chief other than, you know, it was in the past a part of your, I'm going to say your policy or insurance policy that, you know, there are certain fees that need to be covered by outside agencies. It could be a tow company or, you know, something like that. But when a fire department shows up and, you know, we've got, you know, a certain amount of equipment from that municipality out there and people working, that maybe have to cut that person out or look after traffic control or everything else, that it was part of that at one time. Counselor. So, yeah, I'm thinking it's probably not an issue at this time. Certain things in there, like, that's where it went back to freedom information that, we had to watch that. So again, as firefighters and officers on scene, we're not allowed to get that information. It's absolutely not going to happen. That's the police department's right at that time to gather that information for their reports and everything else. So, but if we can get that information from the MTO, which is Eris, and we should be able to recoup some of these funds.
Donna?
I was just looking for some of the costs of this equipment, and I just can't get my, can't get it open here. What would the average cost score be to somebody that was at fault in an accident? I think you did outline it here in your report, but just having a bit of a challenge finding it.
So Donna, just so what it is, it's around $485 per vehicle per hour. And we're usually, depending on the accident itself, if it's a single car, we send out a rescue and a pumper. And that reason's mostly for blockage and safety of firefighters and everybody on scene. So if it's a 2 or 3 car MVC, we'll maybe require more equipment, more people. And again, on intersections can change. We may need 1 or 2 more just for blockage and traffic control. So you're looking at probably a minimum of, say, I'm going to say just right off the top of my head, boom, it's going to be $1,000. So it can go up from there if, definitely if there's a traffic death, that just takes it to a whole new level, because we may be there for a number of hours looking after roads until we get county on or township to come in with signage and everything else. So some of them could be fairly substantial when we do the billing.
Thank you.
Anita, and then we'll go to Sherry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think you might have answered my question, but I'm not 100% certain. So I think somewhere in the report it says that it used to be that you could get the driver information from the police, but that they're no longer giving that information out to you. And I think you mentioned that you can't directly ask the driver for driver's license information or contact information.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to rely on MTO to provide you that information?
Yeah, so now most OPP, or, well, I'm going to say we deal most with the OPP, not so much with the Peterborough Police out of Lakefield area, that pretty well all OPP records are done computer-wise and goes direct to Aurelia, and then subsequently it goes to the MTO, and then they track all that. So we have to go through the MTO to get that information out. Before we went into the OPP office in Peterborough, they would supply us with the whole report, and then we had everything laid out in front of us. But Freedom of Information Act tightened that up, and that was taken away. So again, I think it's $14 or $15 now. We send the information away. They may and may not give it to us, or it's quite a process there, and Janice can probably give you a little more. I haven't really been able to follow it because we're not looking after that part, but it's onerous, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, so just in terms of that process, so we do have a formal agreement. We have a formal agreement with MTO, the Authorized Requester Information System, that allows us access to the incident reports through the MTO system. It isn't foolproof. If there's an error, sometimes the reports don't wind up in the system. Sometimes the information might be recorded incorrectly. So even if it's an incident that the fire department sends on to us to pursue for billing, when we do the searches on the MTO site, sometimes we're able to access the incident reports and sometimes we aren't. There is a charge of, I believe it's $15 now per search on that site. So it does cost us for every search that we do, but it is all done through a very detailed agreement that's set out with the MTO, and there's very strict requirements around security and use of any of that data, which we adhere to strictly.
Thank you. Sherry?
Thank you, through you. Gord, who determines if the fire department should attend at a motor vehicle accident?
It's usually, Sherry, we get it through, and again, a lot of these come through, I'm going to say the CAC and Lindsay for the EMS and whatnot. So most of the calls go through to 911, and then, you know, 911, they ask the questions whether you need police, fire, or EMS. And if it's an MVC, and it usually the first thing they say is anybody injured, well, then they call EMS. So EMS usually call us. There's times that we get, actually this last Sunday, we got a direct call from OPP to come help with traffic control, especially on Chemung Road. So 3/4, sure, they come from CAC and Lindsay through them. So somebody's been injured. And again, an MVA is like, you know, we can't be tying up 5 and 6 of our OPP in the whole county just for an MVC. So, you know, a lot of times we get on there, there's a bit of cleanup, there's oil spilled. We can help with the environment that way to cover up a lot of that, to make sure spills and stuff don't get out of control. And it's, again, we're helping with traffic control, and we train extensively in that, and thank God we don't have the roads they do down on the Highway 401, because it compounds that whole area. So we just make sure everybody's safe on there, especially OPP, because they're sitting there too. So if it's a big call, it could be a lot of things going on there, and there usually is. So knock on wood, it's been fairly quiet this year. So considering COVID and everybody that's been out in the road and just traveling around.
Okay, yeah, so just to follow up, have you ever gone to a motor vehicle accident where you weren't wanted, weren't needed?
Yeah, I'm going to say we are. There's probably been maybe, say we get 70, there might be 10 to 15 that, you know, we really weren't needed there. But again, the officers looking around say, you know, all we do is ask the OPP, it says, are we needed here? And then we return. And usually it's usually within 10 to 15 minutes that the OPP may come on and say, like, look guys, it's you know, under control pretty good. We got this, and they let us go. But 3/4 of the time we're there at least an hour. And if it's a big one, like a major MVC, we could be there up to 5-6 hours. But then we'll at that time we'll scale back equipment and people and make sure that, you know, maybe the county roads can do blockading, and the township guys roads can come out and blockade and stuff too. So, you know, we don't get there if we don't have to, but we'll do what we can to help again too. So.
Okay, so the 1/4 of the time that you aren't needed, then the person that was in the accident wouldn't be charged, correct?
Not necessarily. If we did get called out, and again, if we can find out that they were charged on the Highway Traffic Act, we were on scene. So we were called out to that, and we probably did a little bit, but you know, in the past, we have billed that for sure. It won't be very much. It might be $750, it might be $600 if it's just 1 or 2 vehicles for an hour.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to go to Jerry, and then I think that Donna has a follow-up. So, Jerry.
Thank you. Through you to Chief, and I guess Janice as well. What's the legal onus on a member of the public or a person versus an insurance company if we were to switch to this on actually paying?
Well,
Janice, you want to go ahead with that?
It's a charge. So with the insurance companies, if they come back and say they don't provide that coverage, then they're not paying the bill. There's really not a lot that we can do. If they're not providing the coverage, then there's no mechanism for them to pay. So really the big change here is that you're, instead of sending the bill to the insurance company, you're sending it to the individual. So if the individual has coverage in their insurance, they can forward it on to their insurance company will pay. They don't, hopefully will pay. If they don't have coverage, then they're responsible for the bill. The people who aren't going to pay the bill, we're likely, our recourse would be through a collection agency. It is not a service to property, so we cannot add this to a tax bill, regardless of whether or not the person is a resident or not.
Okay, so if I drive into Peterborough down Chemong Road, they've got signs up saying, now you'll have to bear with me here. They've got signs up saying speed limit 50 kilometers an hour, no parking on streets. Would we need to have signage in here saying if you are charged under the Highway Traffic Act, you can have a bill sent to you? Because somebody bombing through here from me, for example, I might crack it up and I don't know. You know, I wasn't warned that I can have to, or I may have to pay for this equipment. I guess that's my concern. Is there a legal argument there that you didn't give any fair warning that you can charge or have to recoup those costs?
No, there's nothing that I'm aware of that would suggest we would need to have any type of signage.
Okay.
Jerry, like, you know, we can take a really good guesstimate who's going to be charged. Like, it just a lot of MVAs are common sense. Okay, this guy drove into the back of that guy in Chemong Road, he wasn't paying attention. Well, we can mark that on our report. And again, like Janice said, like, we may and may not get that information back from MTO, and that's part of the problem. So we can go through Eris again and see if we can garner more. And what the AJAC chief says, like, he says he almost gets the whole report back. And I thought, well, I haven't seen that yet. So one day I'd like, you know, I thought I'd be able to go for drive, but with the times the way they are now, he's a good friend and known him a long time, and he's a really good chief. And I just like to sit down with him for a day, but it's difficult at this time to do that. So. But again, you know, in the old days, it's really easy. You did something wrong when you were driving, you weren't paying attention, you were charged on the Highway Traffic Act, and it made it so easy, and the insurance companies didn't blink twice. But whatever's changed, I'm not sure. And really we're not getting the answer. And part of the problem is that was on the agenda for the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs this year, and it was hard to get in. They were refused to go into meetings and that, and it's hard to get somebody's jest when you're, you know, doing a phone call and stuff, and you're kind of refused. So and insurance companies just refuse to talk to them. So it's a kind of a dull sword right now to go ahead forward with this. So
Thanks, Gord. I got to get on with Donna. Go ahead, Donna.
Yes, thank you through you, Gord and Janice, I would think. If we're the only municipality in Peterborough County doing this, I think we're going to get a lot of pushback, and I would be nervous about implementing this in the near future without knowing what other municipalities are going to do in at least Peterborough County.
So in Peterborough County, the majority are trying to do the same thing now. All of us at one point, we did bill the insurance companies. So again, everybody's kind of in the same boat, and I know Duro Dummer's trying to send bills and out and whatnot too. So again, like I say in the report, it's kind of new for all of us, and see how this is going to work. And again, oh, geez, I'm not paying that. Well, then, you know, worst thing is the next thing, I don't know, Janice is you go to court to settle a bill. I'm not sure.
Thank you. So I'm just going to make a couple comments because I want to make sure I understand this correctly. So in terms of the process or the concept of sending a bill for the services that our fire department performs at a motor vehicle accident, that's not changing. We've always done that.
Yes, for years, yes.
The difference is, whereas before we sent the bill directly to the individual's insurance company, we
Yes.
are now sending it to the individual with the expectation that they will send it on to their insurance company if they have coverage, or if they don't have coverage, then they're going to be responsible for it. So I just want to make sure council isn't being asked to put a new policy. We've always billed for the use of our fire department at a motor vehicle accident. We're simply going to now give it to the individual, and they can make the choice whether they're going to pay it or whether they're going to make a claim to their insurance company. That's not unlike a lot of other processes that take place. It is possible that at some point in time, an individual may dispute it the same way that an insurance company frequently may dispute a claim. So I just want to clarify that my understanding, the way I've just enunciated, is what's actually being asked of us. Is that correct, Janice and Gord? Or
That is correct.
Janice, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Any other comments, colleagues? Or does council want this to happen or not? So you want to make that motion? Okay, do we have a second to that? Gary? Okay. Like a recorded vote? Okay.
Sorry about that. Councillor Locke?
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Senes? Councillor Ballantyne?
I'm going to say no at this time. I think it's premature.
And Councillor Herron?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you, colleagues. We'll now move on to our next item, which is from Rob regarding the Register of Cultural Heritage Properties.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So you may recall that Council did entertain the creation of a heritage register policy back in 2018. At that time, we used the regulations embedded in the Heritage Act to create a list of properties that we thought were worthy of being listed on what is defined as the non-designated properties list. We put together a list of 27 properties, and ultimately council approved putting 24 on those properties. There were 3 individuals who owned properties that we thought were eligible, who took issue with the notion, and they had asked us to remove them from the list, and we did so. But that kind of brought up the point that perhaps we should develop a policy that would outline the process should people have that feeling in the future, would also outline how we would establish whether a property is eligible, and would also outline other issues such as, what would happen if a property on the list owner wanted to demolish the property, etc. So with that in mind, the committee and staff have put together a heritage policy that does just that. It's intended to outline how we go about including properties on the registry, how they get removed, how we do the assessment, and if there's a demolition required, what is the process, or a demolition proposed, what is the process to get through that. So it's the draft is before council this evening. It's a draft that has been reviewed by the Heritage Committee, and they had a few suggestions that we've incorporated, and we're asking that council pass a bylaw which would adopt it as it's written. And obviously, if there are suggestions that council would like to make, we'd be happy to consider those as well.
Thank you, Rob. I think Donna, you had your hand up? No, sorry, Sherry.
Thank you, through you. The list that we have attached here of the properties that are on the heritage now all of the people who own those properties are aware and are okay with it?
Absolutely, yeah. So at the time, the Heritage Act didn't require that we advise land homeowners or building owners of the fact that we were considering them, but council felt strongly that they should be advised. And so we did that. We had an open house and we gave them an opportunity to ask questions about what the implications were to being added to the list. And that, as I noted, generated essentially 3 objections of the 27 that we had suggested. The Act now requires that we advise people who own properties that we're considering to be put on the list, and that's still, again, part of the policy that we're proposing as well.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes, Anita?
And I just want to add as well that the Heritage Committee would have liked to have more houses or properties on the list for 2020, but then COVID hit, so we're probably looking at 2021. Committee members have been, sort of researching and looking at different properties, but so we'll just have to see how the committee members get on with that project.
Any other questions, Donna?
Yes, through you to Rob. So I just want to make sure I understand this correctly, that now if someone is advised that they're going to be on the Heritage Registry list, they cannot decline. They have no choice if this is passed?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say we'll still entertain, we'll still go through the process the way we did, I think, initially, maybe not have an open house, but the intent would be certainly to advise them of the fact that we have this register, that we believe that their structure has some cultural merit and should be on a list of undesignated properties, and advise them of what the implications of that are. And if they disagree, then there's this formal process that they could follow and say, look, we don't believe that it has any cultural merit, and here's why. And then, of course, ultimately, it's council's decision whether or not it would be included, right? So the committee will come to you with their lists. It'll, the way I envisioned it, it would summarize the process that we followed to advise the landowners. It would summarize whether or not there were objections, and then council ultimately, and we would have our recommendation. The committee would have its recommendation, and then ultimately council would debate whether or not the objection has merit and should be considered and removed from the list or otherwise. Right?
Thank you.
Sorry?
Thank you. Through you. Where is the bylaw?
Is it?
The policy is attached.
Yes.
Yeah. So
The bylaw would be an authorizing bylaw, so it simply would adopt this as so there is no bylaw attached. You're not missing anything.
Okay, I'm just
But
I'm going back to the policy.
The
again.
policy, yeah,
And
that's the meat of it right there.
Oh, I see what it says. Okay, I'm with you. Thank you.
Any other comments, colleagues? Do you have a motion? Edith? Second by? Okay, we'll move on. That motion is not passed. Okay, we will go on to item C. The Customer Service Training and Building Planning Department Customer Service. Is Kim on the line, or is somebody else going to do it?
I am on the line. Can you hear me?
Yes, Kim, go ahead.
Good evening, Council. So as you are aware, as part of the Building and Planning Service Review recommendations, Council has directed us to look into some customer service training to be conducted for the Building and Planning Department in the first quarter of next year. And so I have reached out to multiple industry and professional associations and other municipalities in the province to learn which associations would be able to offer the customer service training that we're looking for to work with our staff within the building and planning department. There were 2 associations that offer customer service training, and after reviewing the programs, we're recommending that the township proceed with the program offered by the Ontario Municipal Leadership Institute. They will provide a customized 1-day training, and they're able to meet our Q1 deadline or timeline. They're able to provide on-site training, subject to limitations on the number and setup as per COVID-19 precautions. They have provided similar customer service training for other municipalities in the province, and they will also focus on customer service training within a building and planning department environment. So I've also listed in the report kind of a summary of what would be included in the training, but if council has any questions, I'd be happy to help.
Thank you, Kim. Questions? Dawn?
Yes, through you to Kim. If there are over the limit number of people taking the course, would it be offered by Zoom?
We didn't get into that. The quote that we received would train a minimum of 12 people and a maximum of 20. So
it was 1-day course, is that what you said?
Yes.
I would be interested in seeing the course if that maybe council could see it at a different time. I don't know. Some of the things on this list, I would find it difficult to teach because like if a lot of this doesn't come naturally, it's very difficult to teach. I'd be interested to see how they would communicate that.
So you're looking for the curriculum is what you're looking for?
Well, I guess, yeah, I suppose that would be the cheapest if they give an actual outline rather than the presentation. I just think that if you don't know enough to make eye contact, I'm not sure that seems like a pretty basic thing. And there's a lot of different things here that I find pretty common sense.
I just want to make a point, and I'm sure Councillor Ballantyne that you're aware of this. This report is coming back to us at our request that the staff do this. So this is not a staff generated where they've come forward as part of our review of the building and planning, and we went through that special meeting. One of the directions we gave was for staff to come back with a customer service a training plan, and that's what we have in front of us. So the concept of doing it, the council has already decided to do it. I take it what your concern isn't about doing a customer's training item, but rather the specific content that is being presented here.
Yes, and the manner in which they would try to teach someone these customer service skills. I think it would be difficult. I have no problem, like I realize that we did give that direction, but a lot of this list, and if nobody else feels the same, that's fine. I wanted just to give my opinion on it.
Oh, fair enough. Janice, sorry.
Yeah, so for sure, I'm sure there's a lot of things that seem common sense and people would just naturally do, but in stressful situations or in situations where somebody is maybe very upset or aggressive, then there are tips and tricks that somebody who is professionally trained at teaching this can give to people to help them deal with the situation, to help them calm people down. Sometimes you don't want to have direct and prolonged eye contact with somebody who's really upset. So you can't just say maintain eye contact. You have to judge the situation. And I think these people would be qualified to give some of those tips and tricks to people. Oftentimes in this kind of a scenario, they would use scenarios. I'll use the word again. They would use scenarios and have people kind of work through things and role play a little bit to try and practice some of the things. So this is typical of a customer service training program that I've been involved in the past, which has been a few, and it is typical of such a program.
To the point that Donna's making, would it be in order if Donna or myself or anybody else chose to use the phrase audit the course, but just to attend it and see how it goes? Because I think, you know, if you actually see it being done, I think that would bring a comfort level. That's probably the easiest way to do it. So would it be in order if a counselor decided that they wanted to attend and just see how it went?
For sure. If council members wanted to participate in the training, we could save spots for council members. Yeah.
Okay. So Donna, would that make you feel a little bit more comfortable that you'd be able to see it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's great. So we'll note that, and when it comes time to send the invitation out to council members, and they can attend if they wish to. Okay. So can we have a motion then to Anita, seconded by Sherry? Okay. All those in favor? Thank you. That's passed. The final staff report for direction is coming from Angie, and was in response to a specific part of the DM Wells report that we had seen previously, I believe, about the parking issue.
Yes, that is correct. We're just sort of at the tail end of the concept design related to Water Street. Rob Jackson was here from DM Wales at our October 13th council meeting, and there was a request by council to take a look at the parking that is between the dam and the bridge. This is kind of across the road from the Canoe and Paddle and the Gospel Church, to have that area looked at in terms of a couple of different options. So essentially, you have two different options for consideration this evening. One is to extend the trail from the dam to the bridge. That would create about 16 parking spaces. The other option would be there would be no trail extension. And with that, you would be creating about 21 parking spaces there. Currently, the parking area there is informal, so you can generally get about 18 cars in that spot. If you get people who park pretty tight and smaller vehicles, you could probably get a few more in there. Conversely, if they don't park very well, you could get less. So having defined parking there would definitely be an advantage. So we're just looking for council to provide that feedback on the options. So the trail committee and some of the residents that provided feedback were definitely interested in trail connection. There were some members particularly from the business community, and we had an email that came through just this past Monday from a business owner concerned about losing parking spaces. That was forwarded on to council. So there's always a little push and pull there. So we're just looking for your direction on which option you prefer. Whatever it is, that will get incorporated into the final design for Water Street. And then moving forward from there, we'll get the concept tidied up, sent back out to the residents and those that provided feedback on the design concepts, and we would post it online. That would allow us to get the final engineered drawings prepared and ready for tendering. And the hope would be that we could get this tendered in the new year and bring that price proposal back to council with some funding options as well as some staging options depending on what the quoted amount is. So that's kind of a summary of the report. Rob Jackson is available. He's on the line. So if you have any questions about the design in particular, he is available to answer those questions.
Thank you, Angie. Somebody want to make an intervention? Oh, okay, Anita.
I just want to say that both of the design ideas are very nice, but I'm going to say that I would prefer to go with option 2. I'm all for trail development, but I think that because the sidewalk on the opposite side of the street, people could walk just cross over the street. We are so short of parking in the village, especially on Water Street and downtown and Charlotte Street. So I would prefer option 2.
Jerry, then Sherry.
Thank you. I'm all for the parking as well. We need as much traffic down in the economic engine of Selwyn as much as we can. I'll give you a quick example. When Sears was in operation in Peterborough, each parking spot was worth $200 an hour during the Christmas season. So if we factor that down to these 5 spots that we're gaining, say at $20 an hour, it's $100 over an 8-hour day. It's $800 pumped into per parking spot, put into the local economy there. So I think it is important, and especially now we've set out on a mission to support our local businesses, and I think we need to continue that trend.
Jerry.
Thank you. Through you. We know lack of parking has been a perennial issue in Lakefield, and when we have the opportunity to add additional space, we should jump on that opportunity. You're all aware that I was tweeting and sending Facebook posts ever since the beginning of the pandemic, supporting our local businesses and highlighting them. And it resulted in my friends and family wanting to come up and shop in our stores. So we would park on Water Street, have lunch at the Canoe and Paddle, and then walk over to Queen and do our shopping. And when we were done, we'd walk back to our car. The parking spaces on Water are invaluable. Because of this, I support option 2. I also presented the options to the Economic Development and Business Committee last night, and their consensus was more is better. So they also favor option 2. The option isn't leaving out the trail connection. There's still the connection to the trail at the bridge, and it will still accommodate the concrete pad to do any bike repairs that we had heard about. And by the way, I spoke to Chris at Youth Unlimited about this, and he informs me they intend to have bike repair workshops at the barn when we can do that sort of thing again. So I think it will all come together and work well for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Donna?
Yes, thank you. I agree with my colleagues as well that we need to support the businesses and provide as many parking spaces as possible. And I don't believe that we are negating the ability of our bikers and walkers to get from the dam down Water Street. There are other ways for them. I see that they would prefer to have the direct route, but everything comes with a little bit of a trade-off, and I think this is the trade-off that we have to make in this situation.
Yeah, if I could just add, I agree with my colleagues, and Anita said, trails are important, and they are, but there, as Donna said, there's a trade-off here. And as Jerry and Sherry point out, parking is at a real premium in Lakefield, and as Sherry said, we don't often have an opportunity to increase to that inventory. So I agree with my colleagues. So I don't know if we're going to have a motion to that effect, which would be option 2. Anita, second by Sherry. All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, colleagues, we will go on to consent items. Does anybody want to pull any item on consent? Pardon? Schedule. So that's on consent. Oh, you want to pull that? Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. Been a long day. Sherry is pulling 5A, as she so desperately tried to tell me. I'm going to pull 6. I'm going to pull 6-3. If there's anybody else, no. Okay. 5A, Sherry.
5A has both Andy and I budget with the township and with the county being the same day, and I'd just like to phone ourselves and face the problem. So we can change that.
Yeah, we do need to, yeah, we do need to change that. So we could do it now, or we could wait and do that under new business. It's up to you.
Well, we can do it now. We've raised
Okay.
the issue.
All right. So I think for that one, the 29th seemed to be the best date for council.
That's the Friday, right?
It's the Friday. I just hadn't heard directly from Anita. I wasn't sure if you were working. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, perfect. Okay, so we would change the 21st to January 29th at 9 a.m.
Okay, we need a motion to that effect, or
We'll note that as part of the
as
resolution.
part of the?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I had a question. This is the budget description for MAMO. There was some reference in there, and I don't know whether Lane is online or not, about targeted tax relief for small business. There was a provision in the budget to that effect. And I was just wondering, Lane, whether you got any details about that.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. If I recall, that was specific to the tax ratios and tax rates that the province was going to send, and provide some flexibility to the upper tier in setting those rates and ratios.
Okay, so it doesn't affect us then as a township?
Not directly, no.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Appreciate it. Okay, I think that's it for our consent item. So we need a motion to accept that. Jerry, seconded by Donna. All those in favor? Okay, we have no petitions. Council portfolios. Donna, you want to go first?
Yes, I have nothing new to report. You got the comprehensive report tonight of what our library board has been doing. Nothing new for the police services board. I'll let Jerry speak for the rec committee when he's doing his parks and recreation. And to my knowledge, we haven't heard of any grant extension for the link.
That is correct. The one update we did get, we have approval to start the service in May of 2021. So we did get confirmation that we could delay the start to May.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Jerry, on economic development?
Thank you. Through you. A denturist is moving into Bridge North Medical Center. The old Jack and Jill over by Overstock, a country market, is going to go in there. The new store going into the old Celtic Connection spot is hoping to open the beginning of December. Pulaski Boats Limited has purchased one of their suppliers, Precision Marine Products. I can't say it. Precision Marine Products is known as a first-class manufacturer of injection molded parts and equipment for the marine industry. The Lakefield Farmers Market will be holding a special holiday market on Sunday, December the 5th from 10 to 2 in the municipal parking lot next to the Village Inn in Lakefield. 4 videos have been completed highlighting businesses that participated in the business reopening program. They're on the website. For Bridge North, it's Style Boutique. Lakefield, it's Free Flow. Ennismore, it's Jesse's Tap and Grill. And Young's Point has Young's Point Personal Fitness. Phase 2 of the business reopening program has been fully subscribed. The updated information on the CIP is now available on the Township website. It will be highlighted in the December business e-newsletter. Lakefield businesses are offering a coupon book for $5. You can get coupons for the various businesses that saves you money as you're buying things there. And Dave Smith held 3 food bank drives in Selwyn This past month, Buckhorn, Bridge North, and Lakefield, where approximately $11,000 was raised in food and money. And I was pleased to participate in all three, thanks to the generosity of our township for coming through with that kind of money. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Jerry?
Park and Rec's running just as smoothly as can be, and as far as public works go, they dealt with their first snowfall of the year. They didn't tear up the side of my lawn, so they're back on great pace.
Thank you, Jerry.
Not much. We have a accessibility committee meeting via Zoom this week, as well as a heritage committee meeting via Zoom this week, and that's about it.
Thank you. Just a couple items for me. First of all, I attended a meeting that was hosted by MP Monsef and MP Vaughn, specifically about some of the homelessness and housing initiatives that the federal government was undertaking. I also had a note on here about Dave Smith's initiative. He's also having another one, this one a clothing drive, which I think he's going to be doing at the Giant Tiger, and I think that's been circulated to colleagues. We also had the opportunity here to have the announcement, the partnership announcement for Selwyn and other county municipalities, or the ones that are in Dave Smith's riding, and so we've got a little bit more than we had last year, so it's a little over $1 million. I think it's, Lane, correct me, but I think it was about $14,000 more than we'd received last year. Like that.
13,900 more than last year.
Not that you would know the exact amount. That's very thank you. Also, as colleagues are aware, there were a number of changes in the public health situation across the province and here as well. So as you know, both Toronto and Peel have moved into what they call a gray area, which means that they're in lockdown. And in Peterborough, we've gone to a yellow status. When you do change status, they are there for 28 days before a change can be made. It's 2 14-day cycles that you remain in that particular cycle. There is a set, and I will send this out to councillors. I've got the link here, both in terms of a description of what triggers going from green to yellow to orange to red to gray, and then I'll also with it is the set of restrictions. So going to yellow, there are actually some changes that the township will have to do as a result of that, and I'm going to ask Janice to maybe just enunciate what impact that has on our operations at the township.
Sure. So I think just one point, the 28 days, I don't think you can go backwards, but I think if your situation continues to get worse, you can progressively move to orange and red.
Yeah. Thank you for clarifying that point.
With respect to yellow, it really is going to affect our recreation facilities and some of our rentals. So it increases the requirements around contact tracing for any rentals. It increases the amount of space between participants in participating in fitness activities. So that limits our numbers more that for rentals for those purposes. And I think those are the big things. We have to post safety plans in all of those facilities as well, so that they're very visible, and of course make them available to anybody who wants to see them as well. So I think those plans will look very similar to what we've already done the work to pull together. We're just going through all the public health guidance to make sure that they touch on everything that they have to touch on before they're posted. They have to be posted by Monday.
And there are a couple of significant changes for our business community. The period through which you can sell alcohol has been reduced, and the period at which you have to close is reduced. And there is a need for safety plans to be prepared by all business operations and post it in a place where the public is able to access it. So those are the changes. But as I said, colleagues, I have that link. It's very instructive, and I will send it out to all of you. So that concludes my report. We will go to other new and unfinished business. And so the Selwyn Multimedia Marketing Campaign presentation was in our package. Is somebody going to speak to that?
It was just provided for your information, so
Just
you
for
know what we've
information. Does
been
anybody have any
what we've been
questions
doing.
about it?
Yep.
I see a thumbs up. Oh, Anita.
Yeah, it's a great job. How long does this, I can't remember when the end date is for the marketing campaign.
It's the end of this month.
So November 30th is
correct.
31st. It's
Yeah.
done. Any thoughts on whether we might kind of go forward with similar ideas, or I know there's no money in the budget, but I'm just wondering, has there been any thought given?
There is no more money in the budget
No more
unless
money?
council wants to put more money in the budget. But you know, we can bring forward some options. I've always been interested in doing a little bit more marketing with other multimedia. We've just never had the budget to do that, so we might be able to take a look at that. I'm not sure 2021 is going to be the best year to maybe introduce that, but I think it's been a successful campaign. We've heard lots of great feedback from members of the public. I actually had a call last week from somebody who said they really don't kind of follow us on social media. That's not their thing, but they've seen a lot of the ads on Check's News and in the paper and the radio. So yeah, I think the fact that we're sort of hitting all the mediums has been a good way to communicate.
Thank you. We have an item B, which is the special meeting circulated. So you want us for the meeting of the 30th, the dashboard update. You also want to add the COVID resiliency grant application, because if I recall, you need a resolution of council in order to forward that. So we need to expand that agenda to include that discussion.
That's correct. There's actually two items we were hoping to squeeze into that meeting. So one is the resiliency grant. The other one is stormwater assessment. We've got an RFP that has been received. We were hopeful to have the results for council this evening, but we just didn't have all of the information. So if we can get that taken care of, then we can get that project moving forward. So you'd like to add those two items to the November 30th meeting. It will be Zoom. Yeah.
So does anybody want to? Okay, so Donna's going to move it. Anita's going to second it. Is there any discussion about that? Okay, all in favor? Okay, got it down. Okay. The only thing I'd mention on that, we've adopted the agenda. We had been looking at doing those meetings, the dashboard meetings, in council chambers. I think that's what
I think that actually no. I think maybe that you may be getting it mixed up. I think the dashboard, given that it's typically a quicker update, we just felt that Zoom would be a more efficient way to do it. Yes, and the reason it was a half an hour was, I think, because we actually had an additional item that we added on there. The dashboard didn't take up too much time.
Okay. Well, I accept that I'm confused. The item C, there's this with the CAO performance evaluation. So the second meeting for that, there were dates that were circulated. Did you get a consensus?
So the dates that were circulated were the 7th and the 9th, and those dates are not going to work. Okay. So if everybody could pull out their calendar, I've checked with Emily on a couple of others just to see how that might work. Well, if we one would be December the 10th at 3:30. Now that is the same day as our budget meeting, but Emily cannot attend earlier than that. So I don't know if council's interested in the 10th at 3:30. The other option would be the 11th, which is the following day, Friday. She is available anytime, but I don't know, Anita, if you work that day. Okay. On the 11th?
you know, I have it written in my book too, but I'm just wondering if, yes, that's right, because the week, yeah, this is the week of the warden's election, so we end up with that. Yeah, so I'm able to do the 10th at 3:30 if myself. I don't know about anybody else. Donna?
I can.
Jerry, can you? Anita, can you? Sherry, can you? Okay, 3:30 on the 10th.
We just need a resolution for that.
We need a motion, a resolution. Anita, Donna, all those in favor? That is adopted. Okay. And that is other business unless somebody else wants to raise something. Not seeing anybody. We then need to go with the confirming bylaw. That's Anita and Sherry. All those in favor? Adjournment. Sherry, seconded by Dinah. All those in favor? Thank you very much, colleagues. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. Thank you to staff.